Hey, welcome to the 1218 show. I am your host, Mike Wilson. I appreciate your time and thank you for spending it with me. Okay, so in the early 90s, a movie came out called House Party, and its sequel, House Party 2, a year or two later. In its sequel, there was a character that I loved. It was a small part, but the name of the character was Jamal Johnson. And it was just, he was just hilarious to me. It was just, like I said, just a small bit role. And I loved him. I loved, obviously, his acting and his little performance, but I also loved the name Jamal Johnson. And so my middle initial is J. And I started telling people that my middle name was Jamal. Now you can imagine that has elicited quite the rainbow of responses. Everything from, oh wow, you must have really interesting parents, to just total disbelief, like fuck you, and to everything in between. And I've really enjoyed doing it, and then or using that name just to see the reaction and get people's responses. I use that as I often says my middle name, and since most of my documentation says Michael J. Wilson on it, they say, let me see your license or something. It's just the letter J, and so it's kind of this running joke. And, it's silly, it's goofy, but it runs. And so, but then I'll also introduce myself as Jamal and just say I go by my middle name or something sometimes, and that also gets quite a hilarious. It just depends on who's around and if I'm in the mood or whatever. And there's people in on it. Like a lot of my regulars at the bar I used to work at, they would be in on it. Whenever somebody would come in, and, hey, what's your name, whatever, and oh, I'm Jamal, and they would be paying attention. And so, if they didn't believe me or whatever, the neighboring, hey Jamal, can I get another drink, whatever. So it was always this kind of fun running joke. But I'm telling the story because there's two of them that I loved. Let's see here. The two that stick out, I should say. One was I dated this girl named Julie in college. We just went on a few dates. It was a short-lived romance, but she was a sweetheart of a girl. There was no bad blood between us. It just it was just we just dated a few times, and so one of the conversations that we had, she asked me what my middle name was, and I was I've always been able to deadpan it and straight face it and whatever. So. I said Jamal, and she looks at me and goes, oh my God, that explains so much. And that's my favorite response of all time. If you knew me back then, you would probably understand why that's my favorite response of all time. It was just perfect. It was so endearing and so genuine, and I loved it because it just, everything fit with all of it. And I never did tell her that wasn't my middle name. She probably, to this day, if I ever cross her mind, she probably still thinks about that my middle name is Jamal. Probably not. I doubt she's thinking about me at all. But another one of my the other one that really made me die. So I'm behind the bar. This is 10, 15 years ago, a long time ago. And these girls from Long Island come in, and they're all 30-ish, okay? And they've got the thick Long Island accents, and there's four of them, and they all kind of have smoker's voice, like they were heavy smokers. You could tell they were, at the age of 30 already showing signs. By the time they were 60, you could just hear it. And so they sit down. They're already kind of wound up and wild, and they're having a good time. And, hey, what's your name? And I said, I'm Jamal. And she looks at me. She goes, fuck you. Your name's Jamal. It's either Brian, Mark, David, or John.